Here's something most people never hear from their doctor. Your heart has a weak side. Not in the emotional sense, literally, anatomically. One chamber does the heavy lifting, and after 60, it's quietly losing ground. Every single year, without a single symptom, without a warning sign, just a slow fade. And here's the part that gets me every time. The thing that protects it most isn't a pill. It isn't a procedure. It's something you can do right now, in your neighborhood, in your shoes, without spending a single dollar. But almost nobody does it correctly. Let me introduce you to your left ventricle. Think of your heart as a four-room house. The left ventricle is the main room, the engine room. It's the chamber that collects oxygen-rich blood from your lungs and blasts it out to every single organ in your body. Your brain, your kidneys, your legs, your eyes. Every cell you own depends on what the left ventricle does next. And it does this roughly 100,000 times a day. Now here's where age enters the picture. After 60, the walls of the left ventricle begin to stiffen. They don't relax as easily between beats. The chamber doesn't fill as completely. So with each pump, it's sending a little less blood out into the world. You might not feel it at first. You chalk it up to getting older. You think, I just get tired faster now, or I'm a little more short of breath on stairs. But what you're actually feeling is your heart's pump function quietly declining. And if nothing changes, that decline doesn't stop. It compounds. Now here's the twist. Most people assume the solution is to push harder, work out more intensely, get the heart rate up, sweat it out. And that instinct, while well-meaning, is actually working against you. Because your left ventricle doesn't strengthen the way a bicep does. You don't improve it by maxing it out. You improve it by teaching it a very specific lesson over and over until the lesson becomes biology. That lesson is called Zone 2. Zone 2 isn't a trendy fitness concept. It's a physiological state, a heart rate range where your body is working aerobically, burning fat for fuel, and your cardiovascular system is under just enough load to adapt and grow stronger. Here's the simplest definition you'll ever hear. Zone 2 is the pace where you can hold a full, comfortable conversation. You can finish your sentences. You're not gasping. You're not stopping to catch your breath. You feel like you could keep going for a long time, because at this pace, you could. That's it. That's the whole test. If you're walking with a friend and you can say, "Did you catch the game last night? We had pasta for dinner and I'm thinking about calling my daughter later," you're in Zone 2. If you can only manage, "Yeah, good, hang on," you've gone too far. So why does this specific pace do something that hard effort can't? Here's the biology, and it's beautiful. When you exercise in Zone 2, your heart muscle, the myocardium, is asked to pump more blood per minute than it does at rest, but not so much more that it goes into emergency mode. It's a sustained, steady demand. Over time, in response to that sustained demand, something remarkable happens inside the left ventricle. It gets more efficient. The heart actually remodels itself. The ventricle learns to fill more completely between beats. It expands its capacity. Cardiologists call this an increase in stroke volume, the amount of blood pushed out with each single contraction. What that means for you in everyday terms, your heart works less hard to do the same job. At rest, your heart rate drops. Climbing stairs becomes easier. You can walk faster without losing your breath. The heart becomes a better pump, not because you punished it, but because you trained it patiently, consistently in the right zone. And there's more. Zone 2 exercise specifically targets the mitochondria inside your heart cells. These are the tiny energy factories inside every cell, and heart cells uniquely contain more mitochondria than almost any other cell in the body because they never get to rest. When you train in Zone 2 regularly, your body grows new mitochondria inside those heart cells, more factories, more energy production, more endurance. There's also something happening in your vessels. Sustained, low-intensity movement creates what's called shear stress on the vessel walls, a gentle, rhythmic friction as blood flows faster. Your endothelium, the inner lining of every artery, responds to that friction by releasing a compound called nitric oxide, which keeps your vessels flexible and open. If you watched our earlier episode on endothelial health and beet juice, you already know nitric oxide. It's the same molecule. Zone 2 walking is one of the most powerful natural ways to trigger it. Now, here's the practical question. How often? How long? What does this actually look like? The research is remarkably consistent on this. 3 to 5 sessions per week, 30 to 45 minutes each time, at a pace where you can hold that easy conversation throughout. That's it. You don't need a heart rate monitor, though one helps. You don't need a treadmill or a gym. You need a sidewalk, comfortable shoes, and the discipline to stay slow when your instincts tell you to go faster. And that last part, staying slow, is actually the hardest part for many people. We have a cultural conditioning that says effort equals results, that if it doesn't hurt, it isn't working. Zone 2 training asks you to unlearn that completely. The days you feel great and want to push, those are exactly the days to hold back, because the adaptation you want doesn't happen at the edge of your capacity. It happens in the steady, boring, sustainable middle. Let me give you a picture of what this looks like over time. In the first few weeks, you'll notice something modest. The walk feels manageable. You're not particularly tired afterwards. You might even feel like you're not doing enough. By month 2, something shifts. You start noticing that the same route feels easier. You're finishing sentences more comfortably. Your resting heart rate, if you track it, begins to drop. By month 4 or 5, people around you notice something different. You're climbing stairs without a pause. You're walking further without fatigue. You're returning to things you quietly stopped doing because they wore you out. That's not a coincidence. That's your left ventricle responding to 30 minutes of smart, patient work repeated over and over until the heart believed it. One last thing, and I want you to hold on to this. There's a measurement cardiologists use called heart rate recovery. It's how quickly your pulse drops in the minute immediately after exercise. A fast recovery, 10 points or more in 60 seconds, is one of the strongest predictors of cardiovascular health that exists. And Zone 2 training improves it faster than almost anything else. In fact, one of our upcoming episodes is going to walk you through the actual 1-minute heart recovery test you can do right now to see where your heart stands today. But for today, here's your assignment. Go for a walk, a genuinely slow walk, slower than you think you need to go. Talk to yourself out loud if you have to. Sing, narrate your surroundings, count houses. If you can do that comfortably, you've found your zone. And then come back tomorrow and do it again. Your left ventricle has been waiting for exactly this. If this episode gave you something new to think about, something you can actually use, hit like. It tells me you want more content like this, and it helps get this information in front of people who really need it. And if you're not subscribed yet, do it now. We go deep on exactly this kind of science, the kind that's practical, the kind that's real, and the kind that actually changes how you age. I'll see you in the next one.